Conceive, believe, achieve.
This is former UFC middleweight champion of the world, Michael Bisping.
Paddy the Baddy here. You're listening to Combat Sports UK.
And you're watching Combat Sports UK.
Hey everybody, before you jump into this week's Combat Sports UK podcast, I've got some exciting news for you. Do you want to look as stylish as Thomas Shelby when you train? Do you want to experience the comfort that can only be achieved by a cup of tea on a cold day? Well, good news for you guys. Ex-Martial has partnered with us, Combat Sports UK. They are the fastest growing brand in martial arts for a reason. They are making waves and taking practitioners with their slick, stylish, and hilarious designs that are fit for a king. From rash guards to shorts, streetwear, and more, Ex-Martial has got you covered. Ex-Martial is an extremely community-oriented brand, having given away over $50,000 in free gear last year alone, as well as sponsoring over 300 athletes. And if you shop using the code CSUK10 at checkout, you can get 10% off everything in store. That code again is CSUK10 at checkout. Go and check out xmartial.com and enjoy the fight.
Hello and welcome to Combat Sports UK. This is our first boxing podcast where we're going to review this weekend's action. We had the card of the Magnificent Seven, powered by Queensberry on TNT for those in the UK. And there was a Golden Boy card where really only the main event mattered. My name is Rhys Anderson and I'm here with Ian Morris.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our podcast, reviewing the weekend's events. Firstly, I suppose we best start with Maxie Hughes, William Zepeda. I think that was out in Vegas on the Golden Boy card. Maxie Hughes, record's now 26-7. Zepeda moves to 30-0. So from what I watched of that fight, Zepeda's like the cliche tough Mexican. It's like I think his first round punch stats were like over 100 punches thrown, and that's probably average per round during that fight. Just like to point out the difference in kind of power between the two. So from what I can kind of calculate myself, there or thereabouts, Zepeda's got like an almost 90% knockout percentage, which in a lightweight division it is pretty high. I mean, it says he can bang, doesn't it? Really? Yeah,
especially at 30-0, you've got a long resume there. That's a lot of fighters to knock out. Yeah, that's 26 out of 30. He's got some power behind that punch. Also, that knockout sequence in the fourth, that was something quite special.
Yeah. And if you look at Maxie Hughes' record, his knockout percentage is 10%. So, I mean, straight away, he had a tough night's work ahead of him, didn't he?
Yeah, completely.
Yeah. So, watching the fight, you could see Zepeda was just outworking Maxie Hughes. Maxie Hughes looked a little bit lost, couldn't find his range, hesitant. Maybe he just felt a bit of that power early on and thought, I just want to see if I can work my way into the fight slowly. But come the fourth round, massive body shot, and that was all she wrote really with that one. I suppose, you go on social media and you're gonna get all the casuals or really, hardcore boxing fans are going to go, well, what's next for Maxie Hughes?
Yeah. Personally, I think that was definitely too much for him. He shouldn't have been in there, really. That wasn't his fight. He needs to take a step back. He needs to reevaluate, because that's putting him in with that type of caliber fighter is going to lead him into trouble more so than good fights.
Yeah. And when you look at Maxie's record, he's been in a lot of title fights. I mean, he's now 26-7, 2 draws. I think, God, how old is he? I think he's like 34, maybe, or something like that.
Yeah, he's not young, is he?
No. But then, obviously, on the flip side of that, you got to ask yourself, well, Zepeda's proven himself at that level. Maxie's been knocking about for a long time. What's next for him? And if you look, I've had a little look through the rankings, and obviously he's in the mix with the likes of I don't know, Cambosis, Shakur
Yeah.
Stevenson, Isaac Cruz. I mean, does Zepeda now kind of? I mean, I think Maxi Hughes was ranked as high as 3 or 4 in some of those different commissions rankings. Obviously, been leapfrogged now by Zepeda. Who wants him? Does anybody want that
Well,
kind of smoke?
Kambosos has got a fight booked against Lomachenko, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Coming up
yeah,
soon.
yeah.
So potentially the loser of that fight could be given to
I mean,
Zepeda.
there's a lot out there for him, but when you watch the way he just railroaded Paul Maxi Hughes in that fight, it's going to take a lot of money to get someone to go. Yeah, go on, I'll have a go. I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe. What do you think?
I mean, anyone stepping in there with that sort of power, I mean, you're going to scare a lot of big names off, aren't you? You're going to need somebody forced into that fight, and money is the way to do it.
Yeah.
Maybe you're looking at one of those Saudi cards with that big high money event that can get fighters talking.
Yeah. Because otherwise, I think for Zepeda, he's like, he's going to have to, another 2 or 3 fights to get himself into possibly an interim or mandatory position where it's got to happen. And obviously, there's 3 or 4 belts flying around. So hopefully for him, that will kind of come in the next 18 months, 2 years, maybe. I don't know. So should we move on to the Magnificent Seven?
Yeah, of course. That card held by Queensberry, that was a phenomenal night of boxing, in my opinion. But I think it was ruined by a couple of moments. One of them being a fighter that doesn't look as good as he should do, and we'll get onto that later. Yeah. And some poor scoring, in my opinion, for that main event.
Yeah. Okay, so as we discussed previously, I didn't watch the first couple of fights. I was busy doing something else, and obviously I'm a late addition to this cast, so I managed to get on the card a little bit later in the evening. So do you want to kind of just go through what happened in the first couple of fights?
We'll quickly skim through these first 2 fights because I don't think they're what we need to be talking about. The first fight of the night was Pierce O'Leary.
Yeah.
He was 13-0 heading into the fight, and he defeated, I'm going to butcher this name, Hovans Martigan, something like that. Either way,
maybe I did watch him, but I just didn't want to have to pronounce those names.
Yeah, that's you've dodged a bullet there. Honestly, that's a messy name to pronounce.
Yeah,
that was a relatively close fight, through those 9 rounds that we saw.
Yeah.
Pierce was getting the better of him in most of the exchanges.
Yeah,
and that quality proved towards the end of the fight when he got that finish.
Yeah.
That finish was quite clinical, to be honest with you.
Yeah. What round was that? Sorry.
It was round 9. The first 2 fights both ended in round 9.
Yeah.
But Pierce O'Leary, honestly, was a name I didn't know much about coming into this card, but it's a name I'm now looking forward at going. I'm intrigued to see where he goes.
Yeah.
And that's basically all there is to say about that first round. I think there was an early knockdown as well in that fight.
Yeah.
I think it was round 1, maybe round 2. I can't remember. It was a while ago. It was 2 days ago. But yeah, he did show some real quality in that fight.
Yeah. Cool.
And the second fight on the card was Owen Cooper, who, again, I didn't know much about. I knew a little bit about him, more so than Pierce O'Leary.
Yeah.
And he was stepping in there with Ethan James, who was thought it to be quite decent.
Yeah.
They're both unbeaten again, as with the first fight.
Yeah.
Owen Cooper dropped Ethan James in the first round, caught him completely cold.
Yeah.
And then again, this wasn't close. This was a one-sided performance from Owen Cooper, who wore him down every round. And then by the end of the 9th round, Ethan James' corner had enough, and they pulled him for the last round.
Yeah. Fair enough. Like I said, I didn't watch those first 2, Reece, so thanks for that, mate. I want to move on now to the Juggernaut, if that's all right with you.
Go for it. We're skipping ahead a bit, but go for it. Talk to me about it. What do you think?
Maybe go back a little bit, because I'm quite excited. Quite excited to talk about this, because you can't help but kind of like Joe Joyce outside of the ring. He just seems like a really nice, gentle giant type of guy. I don't think I've ever seen him snarl or be rude. You know, he's really nice guy, but he talks about as fast as he boxes, doesn't he? Which is like dead slow stuff.
Yeah.
I think what I listened to, obviously Dave Caldwell was there on the night. He was commentating on a few of the fights. And Dave Caldwell after the fight was just like, I don't know what I was watching. It was like slow motion, you know.
Yeah.
It's so slow. Now he also said Joe looked a bit big. He said, I just saw this.
Oh, he was massive.
He said, I just saw this massive head. He said, and then when he took his t-shirt off, he looked about 2 stone heavier than he normally would be.
Yeah, well, he weighed in just under 300 pounds, didn't he?
Yeah,
which even heavier than his Zhang 2 fight.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, I don't know whether, I mean, it's too young to remember the fight itself, but I don't know whether you've ever watched the George Foreman versus Michael Moorer world title fight. And Big George was about 45, and Michael Moorer's like, you know, popping him left, right, and centre. And Big George looks like he's just going to fall over and have a heart attack at any point. And then, you know, these punches are like slow motion, but he's so concussive punching George Foreman that even this 6-inch punch, bit like Zhang, you know, when he hit Moorer just collapsed. You know, Joe Joyce reminds me of a 45-year-old George Foreman. He's just, you know, he's massive. He's got the concussive power, but I mean, he sends his punches by snail mail. I'm no boxer. I've done a little bit, but I wouldn't want to get in with him. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's just, I'm not sure. I don't think it was really a competitive fight. What are your thoughts?
It was a very frustrating watch. It was one of those you watched through the fingers and you're covering your face at the state of boxing. You talk about him being a 45-year-old George Foreman. He's not far off that in terms of age.
No,
he's 39, 40. Yeah, he was, because he spent so long in the amateurs.
Yeah.
And now he doesn't, I don't know what to do with him. You look at that, he was meant to breeze past Cash Ali. Do you want to know a statistic about that fight?
Go on.
For it to go past 1.5 rounds was 5-4.
Wow.
People thought it was going to be over in the first round, maybe the first round and a bit.
Yeah.
It went 10. He finished him in the 10th round.
Yeah.
This is Joe Joyce that just fought Zhilei Zhang twice, and before that was deemed the 3rd best heavyweight in the world.
Well, he was the very first man to stop, not just stop, but I mean, even knock down Joseph Parker. You know, not knocked him down, stopped him. Very first time. It's Parker is tough, mate. You know, Zhang had him down twice, and he still got up. And I know Parker's had that kind of aura surrounding him of like lack of self-belief, and Andy Lee's obviously, and with the help of Tyson Fury as well, is really bringing. He's having a resurgence, and he's still only 32 or 33. So I mean, he's coming into his prime as a heavyweight boxer. But Joe Joyce just, I mean, he stops punches with his face. He just walks you down slow, and it takes a lot of energy to keep backing up and moving out the way. And you could see Parker just went over because of the sheer exhaustion. Personally, I'm not surprised that the fight with Cash Ali went to 10 rounds, because I expected Joyce to come out, walk him down. Cash Ali is no mug, you know. He's no mug. He's sparred with all of the top heavyweights. He knows his way around the ring. So even though the odds were for an early finish, he knows how to survive. He knows how to get out the way. I expected Joyce to finish him, which he did. And it was like just a clubbing short hook. But, you know, there's so much weight and power behind that shot that, you know, he's probably still seeing in stars, you know. honestly, that's what I think. But yeah, he's done the rounds. And Joe Joyce, for me now, he's had a short professional career, but he's took a lot of punishment.
Yeah.
You know, he backs himself on What are you going to do? You know, it's all right having a plan until you punch me in the face and nothing happens. Well, we both know now, and so does the rest of the world, that if you Zhile Zhang and you punch him right in the face, you're going to fall right on your chin.
Well, I think he answered that question quite well at the weekend, because there was a lot going into that of, will his chin still be there? Will he still have a chin? Will he still be able to take the punches, even from somebody like Cash Ali? And the answer to that, to be fair to him, is yes. He took a lot of big hits on Saturday night, more than he needed to, more than he should have, being Joe Joyce.
He always does. And, you know, my major concern with that, Reese, is, you know, these big one-punch knockouts, you don't feel them. You just wake up in the dressing room, you know, like Francis Ngannou said, and you have been knocked out because I didn't feel anything. You know, they can't, you know, they cause brain issues, but science also says it's an accumulation of those gloves, shock absorbers, bouncing your brain around inside your skull, and it's swelling and hitting again and hitting again and hitting again, and the accumulative damage that does. Well, you only have to look at the I'm the greatest, Muhammad Ali, to see, you know, what kind of damage that can do to a guy. So for me, Joe just gets hit far too easily. So he's had his comeback fight.
Yeah,
kind of credible opponents in Cash Ali. What do you think? What's going to go on for Joe now?
Well, I wrote an article back when Joe Joyce lost that second fight round to Zhang. And I gave a potential opponent. I do still believe that's probably the best path for not only Joyce, and I do think it's a very good fight for Joyce to take at this point in his career, but also for his opponent. I think that's a rematch with Daniel Dubois. I think if you put those two back in the ring together, that first fight obviously ended with Daniel Dubois' eye, that big issue he had after Joyce just kept jabbing him all 9 rounds, I think it was. But since then, Daniel Dubois, I don't think really has gone anywhere. I think he's got better. Don't get me wrong, he's got better than where he was when Joyce beat him. But I think he's got to a better level than where Joyce is now.
Yeah.
And for Joyce, it's a man you've already beat. You've got confidence there. I've already beat this guy. I can beat him again. But it's not one of the top fights.
Yeah. No, I see where you're going with that. The only big question with that is, obviously Daniel Dubois has always had question marks around his heart. You know, giving up, taking the knee, bust eye sockets, blah 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 blah. And same against Usyk. And then he fought this Jarrell Miller, again, another tank of a man, but you know, wear you down. And he dug deep and he stopped him with like seconds to go.
Yeah.
So you kind of seen the resurgence of Daniel Dubois. Why would Dubois take that fight against a man that's already beat him?
I'm going to chuck a question there. Yeah. How good really is Jarrell Miller?
Well, he talks a good fight. He does. But the guy's like, what was he, 380 odd pound?
Yeah, he was big.
Like that. And the biggest we've ever seen him. And Dubois managed to boss him about, take his shots, and stop him. And it was a good stoppage.
So if you're Daniel Dubois, you should be carrying confidence from that.
Yeah, I wouldn't go anywhere near Joe Joyce, because I still think now Joe Joyce is irrelevant.
But I think if you can get that win back over Joe Joyce, I know Joe Joyce is on the way back down now. We look like, but right the wrong. And if he beats Joe Joyce, is still only ever lost to Zhile Zhang. So he would promote himself right up into that picture if he could beat Joe Joyce.
Yeah. And if you're Daniel Dubois, Frank Warren will be going, no chance. Joe Joyce needs to make himself relevant, and then maybe the people might want to see that fight. But for me, Joe Joyce, he's 38. He's had 18 professional fights, lost 2 of them. He's not a big money draw because he hasn't got a big mouth. And he's not exciting to watch. So I can't personally, I can't see where there's going to be any kind of resurgence for Joe Joyce. And if
you call him for retirement?
No, I mean, I just don't think he can mix it with the top 5. And I don't think many of the top 5 would want to go in with him anyway, because it's still got a risk. Maybe I'm just chatting out my backside. I don't know.
So where do you put him then?
I don't know. I tell you what. Would make sense. Would be the rematch with Parker.
I don't see it. I think
Because
Parker's on too much of a good run here to put him in with someone like
He's
Joyce.
on a good run. He's fitter than he's ever been. He's got the right man in the corner. Go back and avenge that. But I don't think Parker would take the fight again because I don't see Joe Joyce's relevance.
Well, the difference there is I think Parker's looking up. I think Parker should be looking up at the AJs and he should be looking up at Usyk. I mean, if Usyk, no matter what the outcome of this Usyk Fury fight is, either Usyk's champion and you're looking at a potential title fight against him, or you're looking at somebody who's only ever lost to Tyson Fury.
You are spot on, mate. Absolutely spot on. I agree totally with you. I just, everyone is on the ascendancy, and Joe Joyce has now had to fight Cash Ali, and I mean it's like when AJ went in against Franklin, and it was a points decision, and everyone's like couldn't knock him out. Blah 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 blah. The confidence, the confidence isn't there. The level of fitness isn't there. The self belief is not quite where it needs to be. So it wasn't a surprise that it went to the 10th round for me. But again, at 38, he's still a risk in the ring, Joe Joyce. But I think his days mixing it with the top are numbered. I mean, you're never going to put him in front. You're never going to put him in front of a Wilder or someone, are you?
No, I wouldn't. So if that's the case, I would give him one more fight, maybe as a money fight. Maybe in Saudi, give him a good send off, and then let him retire in peace. He's done what he needs to do. And if he retires now, he's still got a great legacy in boxing. He's still done amazing things. His Olympics, his Commonwealth. You've got that rise in boxing at the late age, but nobody thought it was possible for him. That fight against Danny Dubois that people thought he'd lose. And then to get as high as 3 in the world, to then be undone by a big brawling Chinese Zhang. Still an amazing accomplishment.
Well, here's one for you, just before we go on to the next one. What about a final domestic dust-up for him? Martin Bakoli wants to fight everyone, kills everyone in sparring, apparently. There's a bit of a domestic dust-up.
I don't mind it at all.
Yeah. I think it's probably similar levels, to be honest with you.
I honestly, that's a fight that I don't think I'd pay to see, but I definitely wouldn't mind seeing it.
Yeah, it's not a pay-per-view fight for anyone's money, mate. Is it? But yeah, that's a possibility. So yeah. Other than that, it's just Big Joe Joyce, isn't he? Lovable guy, but days probably numbered in the heavyweight elite. At least
one quick one before we move on. I want to ask your opinion for the corner advice from Cash Ali. So that's gained a lot of media attention over the last couple of days, where they were very vulgar in their language, trying to pump Cash Ali up and trying to get him to do something in there.
Yeah.
Did you pick up on that?
I didn't, to be honest with you. I mean, look, we don't know what the relationship is between fighter and trainer, and it's probably a totally different type of relationship for each fighter with their trainer. Now, his trainer, if they've been together for a while, will know how to
do the best out of him. Yeah.
I don't know whether you remember 5 or 6 years ago, there was a female athlete. I can't remember whether she was a fighter or not, or whether she was in some kind of athlete anyway. And her manager smacks her face, and there was like uproar. What's he doing? He's assaulting this. But she came out and she said, "No. That's how you get through to me. He brought me back in the moment." I mean, there was no malice. You could see. He's like, "What are you doing? Come on, snap out of it."
Wake her up. Yeah.
But you're in that cauldron of atmosphere. You're not going to have your P's and Q's about it.
I agree.
I'm trying my best to not swear on here right now. It's it's part of your vocabulary, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. No, I agree. I just wanted to see your take on it.
Yeah. I
Right.
don't really care as long as the only thing I don't agree with is when the trainer's in the corner saying you're winning this fight. You're winning this fight when he isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's detrimental. That's dangerous because
Yeah.
you're going to
No,
go
I
out and
agree.
take a round off. Even if he's winning, you got to tell him this is close. You keep that work.
Do you know what? I'm going to move on really swiftly. There was a really good example of that in the Dennis McCann fight, where Dennis McCann was clearly up, and Brad Strand's corner was telling him, "Mate, you need to get a knockout. You've got 6 minutes. You're down by a lot. You need to go."
Yeah. Well, should we move on to that
go on.
Dennis
Move on to
McCann
it.
Brad Strand fight then? So, what we were saying before we went live, Dennis McCann trained in the Rotunda, along with the Smith brothers. Love Joe McNally, absolutely love him. I think he's a fantastic trainer. In fact, I'm using one of his favourite words, fantastic. Everything with Joe's fantastic. So he's from the south. He trains in the Rotunda in Liverpool, and obviously Brad Strand is a Scouser. So it was a fairly significant fight for me.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you, but I love watching the huge cards, but I'm really interested in the grassroots of the sport. And you get a lot of people complaining about undercards. Oh, this fight shouldn't happen. These youngsters shouldn't be on a card that we're paying for. Well, you're not paying for the undercard. You're paying for the main event.
You're paying for the main fight. Yeah.
And a lot of boxing fans who actually go to the fight don't turn up until an hour before the main event anyway.
That bugs me so much.
I'm a massive boxing fan, and I like to watch the development. And I think without exposure on the networks,
you're never going to create a star.
So because you need to get the personality. I agree with with pay-per-view events maybe that we should have more bigger fights on those. So Dennis McCann's now moved to 15-0 with a draw last time out. I'll say Brad Strand's no mug.
No, he's not. No, he's
he hasn't
not.
got the greatest pedigree or record. If you go and have a look at his record, he's fought a lot of guys who've got more losses than wins. But Dennis McCann, is one of my favourites. I mean, it's like super bantamweight with a 50% knockout rate.
Yeah.
So
the boy is special. He is special.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Big future. So the card for that was, let me just remember, 116, 111, 116, 112, 118, 111. And before we move on, I'm just going to give a clap for those judges because that's the most consistent card I've seen in weeks.
Yeah, and me, to be honest. And you know what? They were all spot on.
Yeah.
I think Brad Strand, he came to fight. He really did. But he just could not. He couldn't get in because he was a smaller man and he couldn't get into the distance and he couldn't find that jab, which the commentator was banging on about all throughout the fight. Was he heard somebody say he had a good jab and that's all he could mention. Yeah. And he just couldn't get it off.
No.
But he did turn up at the end. When he needed to in those last two rounds, he proved why he was in there.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I think he kind of turned up after the second because he's down in the second. McCann can't finish him. But, the great movements, hand speed, distance control from McCann. You'd think he'd had 25 professional fights. There's still little newbie stuff about him. Get a bit greedy, get a bit over keen, a bit overzealous. But that comes with experience, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course.
The exuberance of youth. So I mean, so it comes out of that fight with 3 belts, I think. Was it?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
So the British the British title. Let me just have a look on my notes. The WBO Intercontinental and the WBO Silver or something.
I think you are right. I think there was 3.
Down, actually, silly boy.
But the bouts, there's too many bouts in boxing, isn't there, mate? Let's be honest. Those bouts don't really count for a lot, other than the British one.
the British Ring magazine, the British Boxing Board of Control British title is one that all British fighters want to win. Not everyone gets a go at it. Sometimes they step past it. They step past it because they're just so talented, and then they want to go back later in their career and get it, because it's one of those things, that you want that in your trophy cabinet, the British title, don't you? But yeah, the WBO, they got the interim and the silver. Yeah, there's too many belts, but there's too much money in boxing, isn't there? So you never, you hear people saying about the UFC, and we should have a similar structure. Well, the UFC is not the only MMA promotion, is it?
Yeah.
So you're never going to have one single promotion. You got Cage Warriors. I mean, I'm not a massive MMA fan. I like to watch it, but I'm not knowledgeable about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So other than that, I just want to make a note on Dennis McCann said at the end of the fight. That's it. I'm going to have a week off, and then I'm back in the gym, and that's fantastic. Right. So moving on then. Another great little fighter. I want someone.
He absolutely is.
Yeah. Let's talk about Liam Smith's demolition of Eric Robles Ayala. What do you want to start us off, mate? Tell us what you thought.
What, the Liam Davies fight?
Yeah.
I was so very impressed. Honestly, he needs a world title fight, and he needs it now.
Yeah.
That was unbelievable. Yeah. Do you know what? I'm lost words for it. I was lost words on the night, and I've not been able to gain anything since then.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. It was performance of the night. It was fight of the night.
Yeah.
Give him everything.
Yeah.
Get him a world title fight, and now.
Yeah. Well, the WBO world was vacant, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, you want to see him in with a champ.
A proper world title fight.
Proper champ. So, this Robles was expected to give Liam Davies a good fight.
I was watching the fight with my father, and he said Liam Davies knockout in the first 4. To which I laughed at him and said, if this tough Mexican goes down in the first 4, I'll be shocked.
Yeah.
And then in the second round, I watched him go down, and I just shook my head. That right uppercut, he landed it all the way through the first round, and then all the way through the second.
Didn't need the left hook.
It didn't need it. No, he was already on his way down.
Was it left
hook? That right up. Yeah, it was left hook. Right uppercut and left hook.
Didn't need it, did he? He was gone.
Not at all. His eyes had rolled on his way down. Yeah. That left hook just directed him onto the canvas.
It was like someone had just ripped the bones out of his back, wasn't it?
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
That right uppercut shook his entire head so much so he lost all consciousness.
And it's what you want to see, isn't it? I know, like with the lighter guys, you're not always going to see big knockouts. I mean, I'm not a tall guy. I'm definitely not built for boxing. I'm built for rugby. I'm 5'8" and like 200 pounds. But when I put a boxing gloves on, they come like a few inches down my wrist. But these little guys, the gloves come all the way up to the blooming elbows, and they look huge, don't they? So
they do.
It's not a surprise that you don't see as many knockouts, and it's mostly about work rate. But mate, it was stunning. It was a great knockout.
It was unbelievable. I really thought Eric Robles would give him 9, 10, 11 rounds of pure difficult boxing. I thought Liam Davies was going to make struggle in that fight, and he wasn't. He cruised through it. That first round, I gave him the first round quite comfortably.
Yeah.
I think that right uppercut, he couldn't stop landing. I don't know whether that was something he'd seen in tape of Eric Robles. Yeah. I don't know whether there was something he just naturally is good at.
Yeah.
But that was just muddy. It was so muddy.
Yeah. 1 second, mate. I know who Robles is.
Yeah.
I kind of, I'm aware of him, but I didn't really know much about his record. So I had a look at his record. And he's taken a lot of people's undefeated.
Yes, he has.
He's taken 6 or 7 fighters unbeaten record off them. So I thought, ooh, this could be a tough fight. And it was built up to be, you know, a
50-50. It was built to be a proper 50-50.
a good test for that. We expected Liam Davies to come through, but was going to be a tough fight for him. So, I mean, it's like notes I've made. He started as he meant to go on. He just impressed his authority straight on the fight. He wasn't constantly on the front foot,
No.
but he was definitely dictating the pace.
It was amazing management. It was
in and out of
being able
range.
to being able to go forward on the front foot and then be able to control it from the back foot when he thought, all right, okay, I don't need to be advanced here. I can control things while I'm not expanding energy. He is, but I'm still fully in control. It was magnificent. It really was.
Exactly what I was going to say, mate. Exactly what I was going to say. So yeah, and I've got like loads of adjectives and, you know, superlatives. I probably could run out, couldn't you? You know, beautiful, beautiful, and the angle he created to get that. I mean, you would have thought the left uppercut was coming because that's where the space was.
Yeah,
how he got that arm underneath his
through the
elbow
gap. I had no idea.
Was just like it not an orthodox punch. I mean,
No, it really wasn't.
But the angle, he was kind of coming back on himself. Oh, it was beautiful.
It was beautiful.
Pinpoint right on the go to sleep button, wasn't it?
So, my question for you is then: as soon as that knockdown, happened, should the referee have stepped in and stopped it?
Do you know? I'm going to go like Switzerland here, and I'm a little bit sit on the fancy type.
Yeah, go on.
Because you've got to be in there. You can watch it on the TV, and you've got the benefit. I mean, you don't get instant replays straight away, but you've got the benefit of being removed from the atmosphere. So you're the third person. Those guys in there are first person, and you've got a second to make a decision. And if you're an experienced referee, you know, you're aware of who the fighters are, and you know what they're known for, or you know, their powers of recovery, etc. But yeah, I mean, it's a title fight. It's a vacant title fight. He's up.
Yeah.
He's got his gloves up. He looks a bit dazed.
He doesn't looks a bit dazed. Looks like he's in a different round.
Yeah. But the referee's giving him a command. He kind of follows the command. He responds to the command. Do you want to continue? Yes. And you've got to give him, for me,
the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. You got to give him that benefit of the doubt. Stay close. First clean shot that lands. If it's too easy to hit, you're right there to jump straight back in. And the referee didn't step far away from the action, did he?
No,
he was right
and credit
there.
to him. There was a 1-2 and then a 3 that landed from Liam Davies, and the referee'd seen enough.
Yeah,
but I think it was a pretty perfect stoppage.
The speed of them shots was probably took about a second. You know,
not even probably.
But the referee didn't separate him and stand well back. He was in the vicinity, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was ready. He knew that it was about to be done if it wasn't already.
So onwards and upwards for Liam Davies.
Yeah. So which title do you think he should go after next?
Well, I think probably he should, rather than go chasing, I think he should perhaps wait and see what comes his way. Obviously, he's going to have attracted attention. WBO belt. It's not a legitimate belt title, really, is it?
No, it's not a top 4.
No. So he's a paper champion. I'm not trying to take anything away.
No,
because
completely.
He was absolutely destructive and deserved the belt. It was a vacant belt. He hasn't fought a champion yet. It was a great opportunity for him to get a lovely little strap around his waist. But again, he's still only 16 fights into his professional career. So let's not push him.
Rush him.
Yeah,
okay.
Let's not rush him. Let's see what's about. He's making a big name for himself. Someone's going to want to fight him. Let's have a little look. Not jump the gun. and get overexcited. And I'm not trying to take anything away from him. I'm excited about him, but
See, I'm completely opposite. I'm get him in there with any champion that wants him. Get him in there now. It's his time. He can have all 4 bouts he wants. Get him in there, and I think he'll smoke any of them.
Yeah, and for me, it's just 16 fights into his professional career.
He is still young, isn't he?
Yeah, he's green.
Yeah. He doesn't look green though when he fights.
Yeah,
you watch him, you see a man that's green.
Have we really seen him? Have we really seen him in with someone when he punches them? They don't go, oh, you know. Have we seen him in with someone who's a seasoned 20-0, 22-0, 25-0 fighter who, when you hit him, he hits you back. Again, I'm not trying to take anything away from.
But that's what Robles was meant to be. That's exactly.
So that's the kind
tough
of fight
Mexican. That's what he was meant to be.
That's what we need to see. Let's not rush him into a fight that he's not ready for, not physically or more mentally.
Mentally, yeah.
Yeah, because what you can and let's be honest, there's absolutely no shame in losing to a world champion. He's a world champion because he's beat the best. So there's no shame in losing, but it's the mentality of it. Look what happened to AJ with Andy Ruiz. Andy Ruiz should never ever have beat AJ, but AJ got caught in the top of the head and he just couldn't recover. It's not that he's got a glass chin; it's got hit in the top of the head, and when you get it in the top of the head, mate, let me tell you, it's very, very concussive. Look, maybe I'll see. I've got the scars to prove it. It hurts. I wouldn't want to break his spirit.
Yeah,
let's keep him on the ascendancy.
Maybe you're right.
Let's keep him on an upward trajectory. Not taking an easy fight. Let's get another challenge. That's all I'm saying.
Fair enough. I can get behind that. Yeah. Right, and we're going to breeze over the Zach Parker fight very quickly because that was the snooze fest of the night. That was one that I don't really think needs covering. It doesn't need much covering, to be honest with you. It was slow. It was Zach Parker did the job. He got over the line. He did what he needed to do. That's about it.
Yeah.
And I think that's really all that needs to be said in that. And then we move into the final fight, the main event of the evening: Nathan Heaney versus Brad Pools. I don't know where to begin with this fight. Honestly, if I can take the lead in this one, a split draw. How and where? What was the judges watching? Honestly, I was so frustrated on the night for both of them.
Do you not think it was close, Reese?
I honestly, no, I don't. I scored it live on the night.
Yeah.
And my scorecards, I'm looking at it going, how have I got to that and they've got to that?
Yeah.
If you want to know, and this might already ruin my reputation on this podcast before we've even begun it properly. I had it 117, 111.
Yeah.
To Nathan Heaney. That is wide.
Woo! Yeah.
I gave Brad Pools 3 rounds. I gave him 6, 8, and 11.
You need to lay off them Shargalandis.
I was stone sober while I watched that fight. I didn't have a race in the horse. I'm not a massive Nathan Heaney fan. I'm not a massive Brad Pools fan. I watched that with my own eyes and came to a completely different decision to anyone else.
So I personally thought it was fairly close fight. We've got this problem with what people are perceiving as corrupt judging. I'm not sure so much if it's corrupt all the time or whether judges watching a different fight. There's definitely criteria to score a fight. But what you've got to think, you've got 3 judges on different sides of the ring.
Yeah.
So looking at different things.
Different angles.
I think you should have all 3 judges sat next to each other, watching from the same side of the apron. So they're all watching the same fight from the same angle. So they're all getting the same visual.
But the argument there, I guess, is that the one judge that's given the fight to Nathan Heaney and the one fight that's given it to Brad Pauls, if they're seeing two complete different things, if they're both sat on the same side, either side, they're both going to give the decision to the same guy.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, Reese.
No, I don't know what it is either. But something needs to be done, because at the minute, judging is all over the place. All you have to do is look at Nick Ball last weekend and think, how on earth has he not been given a title?
Yeah. Well, it's another split draw. For me, it was a close fight. I didn't have Brad Pauls winning the fight. I had Heaney winning the fight by a couple of rounds, or one, or two. There's a lot of rounds in that fight that could have gone either way.
I agree.
Someone will come out and they'll start fairly quickly, and then they'll think, right, I've done enough to win this round, and then the other guy will come on strong for 25 seconds, and a judge, 3 minutes is a long time for you to 100% concentrate without any distractions. So that's the crowd, that's the sounds, that's watching the referee. There's a very good chance something will catch your eye, and even if it's only for 2 or 3 seconds, you've missed something.
They still miss punches, yeah.
Yeah, you've missed something, and so sometimes it's difficult. We don't know what the criteria is for scoring rounds, and obviously for me, if I was scoring a fight, I want to see who's on the front foot. I want to see who's landing the power shots, not throwing them. Who's landing them? If you're throwing 3 power shots and you hit me on the shoulder and I'm rolling and you hit me on the glove, right? It's not good. But if you throw 1 and it connects, that's worth 5. That's worth 5.
Yeah.
The
so
scuff off the
the
top
way
of your
I'm
head,
scoring fights is effective boxing, effectiveness. I'm not looking. So in MMA, I know you're not a massive MMA fan, but MMA, it's scored on the 3 Ds. You've got damage, you've got damage, durability, and missing another one. But damage is the main one. Damage is what people.
Isn't it about control time as well? Dominance.
No, dominance is dominance. Yeah, but it's like so. But dominance isn't control time necessarily, because there was a fight this weekend that, I mean, this is a boxing podcast going completely off topic, but somebody was led on top of him for 4 minutes 11 seconds and still lost the round. So it's damage in boxing is what I'm looking for, is damage. And to me, Nathan Heaney was more effective with damage than Brad Pauls was for 9 out of 12 rounds. And I know these rounds were close. And I said on the night, 117, 111 isn't representative of the fight, because it was a very close fight. But I think each of those rounds that you could have given it each way, I think Nathan Heaney nicked with more effective boxing.
So I agree. I agree. Nathan Heaney won the fight for me. It certainly wasn't. It certainly wasn't. More than a couple of rounds, in my opinion. But it's one of them things, mate, isn't it? It's the atmosphere during that fight was electric.
It was.
It's very, very emotive, and you're only a human being. You're gonna get drawn into that. And it is gonna affect how you score a fight. But thank goodness it was a draw. So he keeps his title. Because it would have been an absolute travesty had it gone the other way, which it quite easily could have.
It very easily could have, given those scorecards. That one was a draw.
Was in Paul's favour.
So, and the other one was a draw. So if that draw was given 1 round more to Brad Pauls, then Brad Pauls walks away champion. So
absolutely, I'm absolutely gutted, and that is 100% rematch that I would like to see.
It has to be next. That's the next step for both of them, because Nathan Heaney needs to prove again that he won that fight, which he's already done once.
He needs to move on. There's nothing worse than a draw, is there?
I agree. I do agree.
Yeah. So
you've got that will overhang on him now until the rematch. That will go. Brad Pauls, I beat him, but I haven't been given a result. I need to be given that result to be able to move on with my career. And Nathan Heaney, let's not forget, is a man that he's worked very hard to get where he is, but he shouldn't realistically be where he is in terms of boxing. He was never meant to be that good. He was never meant to get to title level. And he's proved them all wrong. And it just feels like for this to be his undoing, a draw that he won at least 7 or 8 rounds in.
It's just to be, I mean, like I say, fortunately, he keeps his title over the draw. But it's not a good result for him. So before we move on to what's coming up, shall we just very quickly talk about the the re-emergence of one Dillian White, the body snatcher?
Go for it, mate. Take this away. I'm going to let you have the lead on this. What did you think about that fight last night?
Well, I'm not going to mince my words. An absolute farce. So he's making his comeback. Okay, so we always have a little beat up warm up fight. Totally expected. He's been out of the ring for a couple of years, but for a guy who's always been very highly ranked, knows Christian Hammer, sparred with him, trained with him, said like they were friends virtually. Dillian White, trying to sell it as a competitive fight. Just get in there, get him done, get on the next one. Don't try your Tyson Fury tactics over here with me, Sonny Jim. Let's have it truth. Let's have the truth. There's nothing wrong with the truth. It doesn't have to hurt. You don't have to be horrible about it. But it wasn't a competitive fight. And if it's like when AJ fought Wallen doesn't come out of his corner after the 4th round. Christian Hammer doesn't get off his stool at the end of the 3rd. Right? That is a corner that's saying this is a bloodbath. You're going to get hurt. Total mismatch. But I can also appreciate who's going to want to fight Dillian White, given that he's just been cleared of the performance enhancing drugs positive test. He's been cleared to fight, not by the British Boxing Board of Control, so hence why he's under different licensing authorities. Totally expected win for Dillian White. Back on the scene. Let's hope that he's been cleared to fight. I don't know what that means these days, whether I think he's going to take legal action against this supplement company who didn't declare that this particular ingredient was.
He's managed to prove that he wasn't actually a fault, hasn't he? He's managed to prove that it was something that he accidentally ingested.
Unfortunately, because of total liability,
he still
has to serve 6 months, 12 months. Yeah. He's done. It's 2 years out, so it's affected his career. He'd had to come off a decent win against Franklin to put himself back in the mix. So very, very feel sorry for him. He's a bit of a character, but that was just a joke fight last night for me. I don't really have
much more to add than that, other than he needs to get this British Boxing Board of Control license sorted.
Yeah, I mean, he fought on like a few different commissions, hasn't he? I don't want to talk out of turn because we don't know what it's like, and obviously we only get the clickbait snippets and the nasty headlines. I saw Paul Smith Senior a couple of weeks ago talking after the AJ Francis Ngannou fight, and he reels off about 6 or 7 really positive, complimentary remarks about Francis Ngannou, and then he says at the end, but he's just not a very good boxer. What's the headline? Paul Smith says Ngannou can't box. So we're unfortunately we are victims of the media and how narratives are pushed. So I don't like to get involved in who's guilty, who's not guilty. He's proven his case. Unlucky, and he should have had him batch tested. Well, come on, man. You think you read the ingredients on something, it's on an approved list. You use it, you get popped. Unlucky. So What have we got coming up then? Next couple of weeks, next 2 or 3 weeks.
This weekend coming up is a huge fight. You've got Dalton Smith. He's taking on another of these Zepedas. There's just too many of them to keep up with.
Is this a Jose?
I am.
Or something?
Yeah, Jose Zepeda. Yeah. I am more than looking forward to this fight. Dalton Smith, he is something else. And this weekend he'll prove it once again.
Yeah, he's mustard. He is mustard.
He is more than mustard.
Oh, this is a losable fight for Dalton Smith.
It's a very, very good fight. It's good matchmaking. It's what we love to see. Also, that's something I wanted to quickly mention about Magnificent 7 on Saturday. Each fight was brilliant matchmaking.
Yeah.
And it carries on again this weekend with Dalton Smith against Jose Zepeda.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that fight. Absolutely love Dalton Smith. He's a phenomenon. You know, you're going to run out of good things to say about him.
Yeah.
He's just like, I love his technique, speed. I love his posture. You know, he's
got it all.
Yeah, just the way he moves. You know, everything's got a bit of spite in it as well. You know, he's definitely a future world champion in my humble opinion.
100%.
But this is definitely a losable fight for him, in my opinion. I personally believe he does it. He gets the job done, but it's a tough night's work.
Yeah, of course, there's always going to be danger when he fights someone like Jose Zepeda, but I do think Dalton Smith has got more than enough tools needed to just get over the line. Even if he has to turn it scrappy, I think he's got the ability to do that, but I do think he will make not light work, but clean work of Zepeda. I think he'll manage to get his game plan off and stop Zepeda.
Yeah.
I do think he probably stops him. I think later rounds, probably 10, 11, 12, I think he might get the job done.
I think he wins, definitely wins for me. But there's a little bit of risk attached to it. From that, Taylor Catterall 2, postponed again. Josh Taylor, another injury. I'm not going to make a judgment on that. You know, I don't really have an opinion. I'm not a huge. He's not very likable, Josh Taylor.
He's really not.
Yeah. Jack Catterall comes across all right, but he can be a bit of a knob as well, you know.
I actually really like Jack Catterall.
As a boxer.
As a boxer, as a person, I think Jack Catterall's got everything, to be honest.
I do believe that Catterall did just enough to win that fight.
I think he did more than enough, personally. I think he smashed that fight.
Yeah, I don't think Josh Taylor's been himself for the last 3 or 4 years, but
no, I agree.
So that's been postponed, and then we've got the Undisputed.
Yeah, we've got a new date for that fight, by the way, for that Catterall Taylor fight. That has been confirmed for May 25th, the weekend after that fight you were bringing on now.
I missed that date. I've been a bit unplugged today. So
it's been postponed to May 25th, the weekend after the fight you've just mentioned there, Undisputed.
So anyway, Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk. I'm gonna get slated for this, absolutely slated. But it's a really, really, really ugly fight for me. It's just
ugly.
Yeah, just ugly. Fury's gonna try and lean on him, impose him, or keep him at arm's length with that massive reach advantage.
Yeah.
Usyk's gonna be dodging, tucking in and out, trying to create angles. Just you know, the big, massive cliche, styles make fights. Absolutely, styles make fights. Totally do.
So there is 2 months exactly today until that fight.
Yeah.
I want a very early prediction from you.
Tyson Fury points.
Tyson Fury points. You don't think Alexander Usyk gets it done?
Right. So when you look at Tyson Fury, I look at a few different things. So I look at his activity on social media. I look at the condition of his body, and he's been relatively quiet on social media. He's been behaving himself. I mean, he must have been warned when he was in Saudi to behave himself, because he was very reserved, using his knowledge and
so was John Fury.
Yeah. I think they've been warned. He's seen the shape he's in. Never seen him in shape like that. He looks amazing.
It's the most serious he's ever taken a fight completely. Maybe other than the Klitschko fight.
Yeah.
But I don't see a world that Alexander Usyk, with all his skills and ability, doesn't get it done.
Yeah. Well, we'll agree to disagree on this.
Yeah, for now we will.
So we'll just we'll call it a wrap there for tonight, then, mate.
Yeah.
And what we might do is we might have to catch up later in the week to.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah, to go through a bit more of what's coming up, or finish on what is happening. So I will see you soon.
Yeah,
Thanks
I will
everyone
see you
for
soon.
watching and listening in. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more of this kind of content.
Thank you very much.